I'm back for some more of the one and only Bob. Let's go ahead and jump right in. This first chapter is called Spoiled. I know Nutwit has a point. Remember, Nutwit is the squirrel that we met yesterday. I've become a creature of habit, spoiled after a stretch of being my own dog. For a long time, I was Bob the Beast, cunning and streetwise. As a stray, I lived off leftovers at the mall, while Snickers dined on her fancy pants kibble. Man, how I love that cotton candy stuck to the floor. The unexpected UFOs. The ends of ketchup covered hot dogs scattered under the bleachers like, I don't know, big toes or something. Ivan offered to share his gorilla food with me. And Stella and Ruby were always ready to pass along a carrot or an apple. But I refused. I needed to stay in shape, stay tough, stay true to my wild nature. Okay, so maybe every now and then I'd sneak a banana chunk from Ivan's breakfast. But then things changed. I became civilized, domesticated, a pet. So this is Bob right now, living at Julia's house. You can see he's got a nice cozy blanket. It's by the fireplace. He's nice and toasty warm. He's got a bowl of food right there for whenever he wants it. So he doesn't have to fend for himself anymore. He's really taken care of. Don't get me wrong. There are definitely some perks. Julia, who's an artist, painted my name on a food bowl. She gave me this wonderfully mushy blanket, the kind where you can bed boogie forever till it's squished to perfection and you can curl up just so. A bed boogie is when a dog will kind of scratch at his blanket and almost looks like he's dancing around in there to get it just right before he settles in. I love that blanket, but I simply cannot sleep without Not Tag, Ivan's raggedy old toy gorilla. Do you remember Not Tag and how Ivan gave it to Bob? Of course, when I get my blanket and Not Tag imprinted with the right amount of you to Bob, Julia's mom does the unthinkable. She puts them in the washing machine and she removes every last bit of me. There are other indignities I tolerate. The daily walk on a tug of war string after going stringless my whole life. So he's talking about having to be walked on a leash. The attempts to train me, like that'll ever happen. The kisses and cuddling. Well, the cuddling's okay, I suppose. But the kissing, I just don't get. If you want to kiss your dog, why not just give him a big old lick on the face and be done with it? Anyways, so what if I've gotten a little spoiled, a tad soft around the edges? There's a difference between being soft and being afraid, being a coward. Another confession. Too bad I know the truth. I'm both. Cricket bully. When Julie returns from walking her charges, I race over and give her a good old Bob-style hello. Lots of yipping and twirling, followed by some attempts to jump into her arms. Humans love that stuff. Julia looks at me sternly and says, "Robert, down." I leap some more because I'm determined to convince her I'm incorrigible, untrainable. It's part of my charm, my bobliness. "Down," she says again. From her coat pocket, she pulls out her little metal clicker, along with some treats. I hate that clicker. It's meant to help train me, but it's like a cricket bully. Here's the theory. I do something right, Julia clicks and gives me a treat. The clicks tell me when I'm behaving, and the treats reinforce it. If that happens enough before your very eyes, I'm supposed to transform into a good dog. Well, I ain't that easy. "Down, Bob," Julia tries again. I want a treat, but not enough to cave. So I opt for a play bow, a compromise. Julia sighs. You are definitely a challenging student. To my annoyance, she puts the treats back in her pocket. I think Julia may be on to me. So she's trying to get him to sit, but he won't listen. He kind of like puts his front paws down, but he's not really doing what she says. Trust. A while ago, Julia got it into her head that I needed to improve my manners. We went to a dog training class. I wasn't really into the whole sit and stay and do the tango stuff. The worst command of all, the truly inexcusable, only a human could come up with it, order: leave it. Leave it means walk on by, Bob. Sure, there's a piece of bacon just inches from your drooling pie hole. But do me a favor and just pretend it's not there, okay? Not okay. Where I come from, you never pass up a free meal. UFO drops to the carpet, it's mine. And I'll be chowing it down before you can say, "Where the heck is my meatball?" Within minutes, I was accused of being an unmotivated student, which is totally unfair. I'm highly motivated. Just show me some cheese, please. Anyways, I may or may not have been a little unruly, class clown stuff. Tail spinning, a little random peeing, some zoomies, just for show. "Class, you see that crazy dashing around he's doing?" said the teacher, pointing at me with an accusing finger. "We call that a frap. Frantic, random activity, period." She pulled Julia aside. "He's a smart dog," she said, "but he's messing with you." Which was true, but I hated getting caught in the act. I thought I was more subtle. "Bob needs to know who's boss," said the teacher. "He needs to see you as a pack leader. Give him some time. I see this a lot with former strays. Takes them a while to trust people. Like forever in my case." As we left the class early, I yelled, "So long, suckers," to my classmates. Couldn't help rubbing it in just a little bit. My car thing. I suppose the real reason for the training stuff isn't my bad manners, although they do leave a bit to be desired. It's my car thing. I've always had a hang up about cars and trucks. Also riding lawnmowers, go-karts, anything with four wheels, an engine, and a driver. Don't like them, don't want to ride in them, don't want anything to do with them. Those co-pilot dogs with their heads hanging out the window flying their drool flags? Boneheads. First of all, it ain't safe. Second of all, bad stuff can happen after you climb into a car. Take it from me. When Julia and George and Sarah realized I have transportation issues, they tried to lure me into the back seat of their car with treats. You'd be surprised how stubborn I can be. I yelped so loud the neighbors came running out to see what was happening to the poor little doggie. Score 1 for the poor little doggie. So you can imagine why Bob would be afraid of cars, right? His life started in a really bad way when he was thrown out of a truck. So he's afraid of all those moving things. He doesn't trust them. Click. That's when they started clicker training me. Click, here's a treat. Come closer to the car, Bob. Click, here's a treat. Watch while I open the car door, Bob. Click, here's a treat. Come right up to the seat, Bob. Click, here's a treat. Come on in, Bob. Bob? Bob? Where are you, Bob? Yeah, it was like that a lot. Options. Still haven't been in a car or a truck or a tractor for that matter. When I have to go to the Rhymes with the pet threat, Julia and her parents walk me there. They say elephants have long memories. Well, so do dogs, people. It's not like I'm afraid, I'm just exercising my options. Full wag. "Are you ready to head over to the park?" George asks as he passes through the living room. He's carrying 2 flashlights and a roll of masking tape. "Yep," Julia says, and I do a head tilt to show I'm intrigued by the conversation. The place where Ivan and Ruby live is called Wild World Zoological Park and Sanctuary, but everybody just calls it the park. George works at the park as head groundskeeper, which means I've got some sway. And everyone who's employed there loves Julia. "Give me a minute, I just need to grab my coat." Oops, I'm sorry, this is George talking. "Give me a minute, I just need to grab my coat," says George. "Straight home after that, though, Julia," says Sarah, "just in case the weather gets worse. One minute, the weatherman's saying we're going to have a little shower. Next minute, it's the storm of the century. Julia scratches my head. I thought Hurricane Gus wasn't coming till tomorrow. Sometimes they change course, says Sarah. They can be unpredictable. You know, George says with a wink, in the old days, they only named hurricanes after women. Ugh, Julia groans. That is so sexist. It's not just the wind that I'm worried about on this one, George says. It's the storm surge that could be a problem. Flooding. Julia tries to make me wear her mom's latest creation, a knitted dog sweater with security written on it, which I suppose is an ironic reference to my petite size. Petite is someone who's tiny, and Bob, you know, he's a tiny dog. I politely decline. All right, you win, Julia sighs. Ready for your walk, Bob? At the mention of the word walk, I go all crazy mutt, so it's clear I'm on board with the idea. Humans love it when we get silly. I think they're so weighed down by people problems that sometimes they need to be reminded what happy looks like. Julie attaches my string. I try for a little tug of war, but she refuses to buy it. Let's go see Ivan and Ruby, she says. Just hearing those names sends my tail into a full wag. When a dog wags its tail, it usually means it's really happy, right? And we know that Bob loves Ivan and Ruby, and he's going to go to the zoo with George and Julia, and he's going to get to see them. To the zoo. I don't know if I said the Jew. I don't know what I said. Sorry about that. Good words and bad words. I've never met a dog who didn't get a big old grin on his kisser when Walk slipped into a conversation. Dogs understand more than you might think. The Nature Channel says we're about as smart as the average human toddler. 2-year-olds, my fuzzy rump. We're a million times brainier than some babbling rugrat. There was a dog on that Man's Best Friend show who supposedly understood like 1,000 human words. Border Collie, I think. Those guys need to switch to decaf. The narrator was gushing about this wonder dog, and I'm like, well, dude, brainiac, of course we understand people. Not everything, mind you, and some of us are more attentive than others. Depends on a lot just how interesting your humans happen to be. Certain words will really cause our ears to perk up. The classics: treat, walk, frisbee, bacon. And don't forget the swear words: vet, bath, fireworks, vacuum cleaner. We always hear those. Clock versus moon. Julia and I wait by the front door while George says goodbye to Sarah. I think maybe the hardest thing for me about being domesticated, a pet if you insist, is that I can't control my own schedule. If I had my way, I'd hang out with Ivan and Ruby all day, every day. Unfortunately, humans love their clocks. Dogs, we use the sky to tell time, like any sensible creature. Sky says it's dawn, time to eat. It's noon, time to eat. It's afternoon, time to eat. It's dusk, time to eat. It's midnight, time to eat. Point is, it's always time to eat. Dogs have a thing for the moon, too, like wolves and coyotes and other relatives. No calendars for us. Moon looks like a claw. Moon looks like a half a pancake. Moon looks like a tennis ball. Moon looks like a claw again. A chunk of time has passed. But humans, nope, that's not enough. It's not a chunk, it's a month. It's not just dawn, it's 6:32 a.m. on a Thursday, and boy, oh boy, we'd better hurry up and go to school or the office or change the baby. But who gives a woof about feeding the poor, starving, sad-eyed, grumbling, tummied dog? After a spell, I got used to the comings and goings of Julia and her mom and dad. But it keeps changing. Julia leaves early for school and is gone most of the day. She returns home excited and energized. Good sense, mostly. But every now and then she comes back smelling a little like me after a long visit to the dog trainer, battle-weary and ready to crawl under the covers. Sarah, who was pretty sick for a while, is feeling fine again, thank goodness, but she went back to work and she's away all day too. And George, who has a job at Ivan's place, works 5, sometimes 6 days a week. That means it's just me and the guinea pigs, and a lot of the time, me and the guinea pigs a lot of the time. I have a doggy door and an outside run, but it's not the same as touring the neighborhood with your person. Peeing without a potential audience is like talking to yourself. Sometimes I'm the teeniest bit jealous of Ivan and Ruby. They always have someone around, which is crazy, I know. I'm free and they're not, but there it is. Told you I'm not a saint. We will stop there for today, and tomorrow we'll pick up with the next chapter. So I hope you're enjoying it. It's kind of fun listening to life from a dog's perspective. This is all Bob talking to us and telling us about what he thinks, and he's pretty funny and pretty feisty, but I really love his character. I think he's got a lot of love in his heart, but he's kind of one of those characters who seems tough on the outside, but is kind of a softie on the inside. All right, friends, I'll see you soon.